Welcome to the HMO Property Podcast, where we connect, educate, and inspire the UK's HMO property community. So stop what you're doing, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. What's up, HMO Nation, and welcome to another episode of the HMO Property Podcast. In this episode, we're interviewing successful HMO property investor, Stephanie Taylor. Stephanie is going to take us on her HMO property investment journey, including the ups, the downs, the highs, and the lows. Now, Stephanie has been investing in HMOs for some 3 years now. She's been involved with 4 completed HMO projects, currently houses 34 tenants herself. She also manages an additional 18 properties. That's an additional 100 tenants. So let's jump straight in. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Hello, Rupert. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you here. Stephanie, before we dive into the details about your HMO journey, give us a bit about yourself and your background.
Well, as I was saying to you earlier, Rupert, I feel that I'm one of the least likely property investors. From starting off as a single mum on benefits at 19, getting 3 degrees, becoming a parliamentary lobbyist, and then starting a small business that burnt me out totally over a period of 7 years because I didn't understand the importance of systems and leverage, or even that there is a system for success in business. So when I left that business, when I sold that business to a friend, I was very down and out, and I went back to work at a very low level and was just above minimum wage kind of level. Eventually got back on my feet again, and I got a very well-paying job at a bank, contracting, and it was while I was there and doing that, I thought, right, okay, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And that's where property investing came onto the scene.
Fab. Give us some timeframes. When was that?
So actually, that last bit, because it's all been sort of an upward trajectory until I let that business burn me out, and I just was a little bit down in the mouth. And that was sort of 2013, overlapping slightly in about 2014.
And what was the business that burnt you out, Stephanie?
Well, it was a business that started as a hobby, and it was little more than a hobby, really. It was a social networking club. So people joined, and then I organised holidays and skiing trips, art club, book club, walking holidays, cycling holidays, a huge Hogmanay ball. It was in Edinburgh. I lived in Edinburgh for 15 years. So a huge Hogmanay ball at the Assembly Rooms in Edinburgh. And so I didn't even have Christmas and New Year for 7 years because I was always organising this ball at Hogmanay. And, you know, there was loads to do, and I hadn't really outsourced or systemised, as I say, and all of that. And so I really was doing too much.
Sounds pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. And it was just about, you know, it's just paid a salary really, but without any of the perks that you normally get from a job.
So back in 2013, what made you take the step to get into HMO property investing?
I had started working at a bank in finance. I was getting well paid. I kind of enjoyed the work and the people, but it just didn't really light my fire. And one day I just thought to myself, I looked around the open plan office and thought, oh my God, is this the next 20 years for me? And I thought, well, there must be another way. You know, I'd had my fingers burnt with the whole business thing. I thought, actually, I can't run a business. I don't know how to do it. This is for other people. And but I sort of found out, started going to property events and was blown away by what people were doing, especially with HMOs, and especially with strategies where you can start with very little money, indeed, very little money and very little experience, actually. And I just thought, eventually I just thought, do you know what, if these people are doing it, maybe I could give it a whirl.
Good. Love it. Was there anything like holding you back at the time when you made that step?
Yeah, I think I just thought it was all too technical. There's a lot to it legally. I thought there's a lot to it managing people, all those people in the properties, and knowing what to do, what to say, what papers they all needed, and yeah, so that sort of was a bit of a block.
Understandable, and you're not alone on that one. All right, Stephanie, next up, tell us about your very first HMO property deal.
Yeah, well, this was quite exciting because, as I said, that we started off in HMO management in June 2016, and then in the end of November 2017, we'd started to look. Well, we started to look a little bit before then, but we found a commercial property. I think commercial property, there's so much opportunity in commercial property. So it's actually a big house. It's in a residential area. It's right opposite the train station. So although it's a residential area, it's right opposite the train station, minutes walk into the city centre and everything that's there. And essentially it's a big house. And our idea when we bought it was to convert it into an 8-bedroom HMO.
Brilliant. Okay, tell us a bit more. What did you pay? Tell us about the refurb.
Yeah.
What's it worth now? And tell us some of the good bits, like the cash flow.
Yeah. Well, we paid £148,000 for it, and where we are, it can be difficult getting HMO planning, although not impossible, and we could possibly have got it. But when I actually worked out the figures, I thought, actually, this could work as flats, and
Okay.
the planning process, or the likelihood of getting planning, is much more straightforward. It had 3 parking spaces, which is unusual in this location where it is. And so we are going to turn it into 3 flats. It's got a commercial tenant at the moment. When we purchased it, they had their lease in place. We've since extended their lease while we were going through planning, because we didn't know how long that process was going to take, and it took much longer than we thought it was going to. So we've still got that commercial tenant up until next March, and we have planning now to turn it into 4 flats. So we originally thought 3 flats. It's 3 stories, and we thought we'd get a flat on each story. But he's also made one of those, duplex. He made a duplex flat as well. So we've got 4 decent sized flats in there. That is still an HMO where we are, because a conversion all on one title is still classed as an HMO where we are. And the great thing about that is no utilities, apart from communal electrics. And the gross rent there will be conservatively just over £26,000 a year, and minimal utilities. And in the early days, it'll be minimum maintenance, because it will all have just been done. So yeah, nice little earner.
Sounds like a good deal. Stephanie, tell us how HMO investing has changed your life since you started.
Really, just totally transformed it from it's the property stuff as well, but I've had to grow so much as a person to be able to do what we're now doing, to live the life that we're able to live now of freedom. People say that HMO investing is a lot of work, but it's not 9 to 5, 24/7. Not things can't be 9 to 5 and 24/7, can they? But okay. It's not 40 years tied down. You've got to be in a certain place. There's a lot of flexibility. You can do it from all over. And the things that I failed at in my first business are definitely in place with this business. It's a very systemized business, and also we have staff in place. And so they run the systems. We only need to get in place to, tweak the systems, or for exceptional cases, not for the day by day of taking people on and housing them. And financially, it's transformed as well. Just over since 2017, the end of 2017. So say that's a year and a half ago. We've bought properties worth over £1 million, and we're not starting off from like having loads of money. So so that's been transformational. And our management business, we do the guaranteed rent management style, and so we're turning over there just over £400,000, and our profit on that, because we do have costs of staff, offices and stuff like that, so it's between 30 and 40%. So it's been an amazing business, and we've got lots more plans for the future to build on what we've done so far.
Fantastic. Sounds pretty life-changing to me.
Yeah, it's been awesome, as they say.
What a great word to use in your business. Awesome. Stephanie, what's your favorite part about being an HMO property investor?
I love the magic, we make things happen. We changed our own life, but we changed other people's lives as well. From the landlords that we work with on the management side, so some of them were really struggling, i.e. they had one agent, then they had another agent, then the rooms weren't full, and that really causes a lot of stress, emotional stress, financial stress. And now we've been able to come in and transform that. We can turn a property that's not making any money into one that's making a lot of money. One in particular that I'm thinking of, an 8-bed HMO, had 3 tenants, tropical 24 heating settings. He was losing over £1,000 a month on that property. And when we came in, we changed that round so that it's making over £2,000 a month every month. So I just love the transformation of turning poor performers into assets.
Great story, that. I like that. I bet your landlord was super happy with that.
Loves it.
Did you manage to get
to us now? We'll be having to pay a higher price because now it's got 8 tenants. And when he was trying to do it, he couldn't sell it because it was negative equity.
Got it. And did you manage to get him on a guaranteed rent?
Yeah, all on guaranteed rent. So that allows us to make money, because all of that £2,000 we're not paying to him. So it's about 50-50 actually. But for him, he's getting an additional £2,000 a month because he's gone from minus 1,000 to 1,000. So yeah.
What a win. Stephanie, we've talked about the past, but before we move on to what your present plans and your future looks like in HMO property, let's take a minute to thank our sponsors.
Are you looking for an effortless HMO mortgage experience? If that's a yes, there's only one place to go: www.thehmomortgagebroker.co.uk, the UK's #1 specialist HMO mortgage broker. They're so specialised that they don't do anything else. HMO mortgages, HMO remortgages and HMO bridging. That's it. They have access to every HMO lender out there, and even some exclusive products not available to other brokers. With lightning fast service and A1 communication, they're easily the best HMO broker in town. So to experience HMO lending made easy, go to www.thehmomortgagebroker.co.uk today.
Stephanie, fast forwarding to the current day, tell us a bit more about your current portfolio.
Yeah, so our initial aim since we started buying the properties in November 2017 was to build a portfolio, and we think about that in terms of units. So we just pulled a number out of the air. We thought 10 5-bed HMOs is 50 units. So we thought, let's start off with 50 units. So at the moment we're at 28 units, and so we've got the one that I mentioned to you. I'm classing that as 4 units, even though it hasn't yet been converted. Yeah. So that's just the way I roll. So we've got that one. We've got the 8-bed HMO that I mentioned to you just now that we're buying on a lease option. Mm-hmm. We've got a big house that's already converted into 4 flats. It seems we like 4 flats. And we've got the most exciting one from our point of view is the one that we completed on in March of this year. And this was sort of an accident. We were looking for sort of, more typical sized HMOs, but we kept getting, not gazumped exactly, but our offers weren't good enough, and there was a lot of competition for those type of properties. And we ended up looking at a different kind of property, which is, this one is a 12 units, 10 bed sits, and 2-bedroom flat in the basement underneath, and a little shop. So 12 units altogether. And what really excites me about this is I was talking to a chap, and he invests in Wales, in the valleys, not in the cities where we are. We're in Newport in Wales, which is not far from Cardiff. But he was investing, and he was spending, 60, 70 grand on a property, then a little bit for the doing up, a little bit for the finance costs, little this and that, and then maybe about 450 on the rent. And we've got this 12-unit property, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so great, because it's £32,000 per unit, and we'll still get around 450 per unit as well on the rent. We'll probably have reduced maintenance costs as compared with having 12 houses. We've got the management of scale, because we're managing in one location. And we've only got one lot of refinance, one lot of funding, everything's only one. So I just think HMOs are multi-unit blocks are absolutely the way to go.
They are an absolute win. In fact, we sold all of our 5 and 6 bed portfolio, and we only focus on 10 to 30 unit blocks now for the exact same reason. And the words are economies of scale.
Yes, absolutely. I like those 3 words.
It's not so much, if I just dive into that a second, because a 6 bed and a 12 bed, you might think the 12 bed costs you twice as much time to manage, but it's just not true. So we always say go for the bigger units if you possibly can. And also, funnily enough, when you get to a 12 bed unit, the valuation typically can only be a commercial one. So therefore your chance of a down valuation are a lot lower than if you're going up against lots of 4, 5 and 6 bed houses in a street with loads of other residential houses.
And the other amazing thing about it, Rupert, less competition. There are less people who are in the place with the finance. Now, obviously, for us as new investors, that was challenging, getting that finance. We already had finance in place for some of the other deals that fell through, and we went back with this property. And because they called it part commercial, because it had this little tiny shop on the front, and then 11 were all resi, but they don't touch commercial, so they wouldn't. The lender who had already agreed, we'd already gone through this very convoluted process with them, and we had to start again from scratch. Nearly caused us to lose the deal, because I think the seller had it since, for 40 years or something. It's different times of buying in those days, and was retiring. But we did manage to hang on to it and get it over the line, but it wasn't easy, and a lot of people are not able to get that commercial borrowing. So it does mean that price-wise, you can get better price. You can get, there doesn't seem to be any really downsides to it.
In my experience, there isn't.
Yeah.
Stephanie, tell us now, out of those deals that you've done, which is your single best investment to date, and why? And it doesn't have to be for the money.
Yeah, well, for every part of it, I love the commercial property, because of all the reasons that we've talked about, the economies of scale, but also for the excitement of what we can do to that property. The property is a listed building, but it kind of looks, well, it's a bit down at heel. When we took it on, a couple of the units had come empty just beforehand, and we were thinking, well, we are actually renting this property out to the existing tenants as it is, so maybe we could just rent out. But in all honesty, we couldn't stand in the room and show somebody around and say, do you want to move in? So we did it. We're in the process of doing it up, but I'm just so excited by what this building can become, because it's bed sits, which is quite an old-fashioned word, where you've got the bedroom and the kitchen, and the bathrooms are separate. There are 3 bathrooms between 10 bed sits, but obviously there's a possibility there to be able to put in en suites and then make it a little. They are quite small studios, or they would be as a studio, quite small. But that would be perfect for contractors. So it gives you different marketplaces that you can go into. So service accommodation is something that we don't normally do, but having a 12-unit block that's all set up for it, where the cleaners are going in daily or weekly or whatever it is, it starts to actually feel appealing to try that model. So yeah, that's my favorite, and that's why.
Good.
Oh, I
Love
haven't
it.
even told you the money. I've got that. I've got my iPad here with a few notes.
Tell us.
Shall I talk to you about that?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm now reading but not reading. Okay, so I mentioned to you that it's 32k a unit, so that was 380,000. Originally it was on at 440, but you always wonder, oh, could we have got it cheaper? I don't know if we, but I'm happy with the price that we actually paid, £380,000. And the rent when we bought it was just over 40k, 3,400 a month, but they were on very low rents of 260 for the bed sits, whereas in the rooms in our shared houses with no kitchen in the room, it was we charged £400 a month, and these were bigger and had a kitchen, so you can see that the rent was kind of low. So when we've done them up, and we're spending, Nikki's the expert on this, but from what she's told me and from what I know, I think we were spending around 3,000, maybe a bit more, on doing them up, because it's just new kitchens, new flooring, decoration, and then furnishing. And we're getting an interior designer this time, so that's why I say it might be more like
Very posh.
Or I know we're going posh, because if you look on HMO Heaven website, you'll see that the design has not been, it's not been designed as sort of edgy. It's sort of been more sort of homey and cozy, and sort of that's we do it ourselves. But I thought actually it would be nice to see if we can just add a bit extra design, so it doesn't look homespun for these ones.
Good. So tell us some numbers.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is what you were talking about, where you answer the question without answering the question. So when the rents go up, it will be just over £60,000 a year, £62,000 a year gross. And the cost, because we have a repayment mortgage for that one, I think it's good to mix it up a bit, and I feel happy with the repayment on it. And also we don't have all the bills. They've got a separate electric, but gas is all in one, so we pay the gas. So forecasting, knowing what I think it's going to be around, £35,000 a year net
income from one deal.
Yeah. So it's a nice one, and it may be more. And I know that once we've finished doing it up, the valuation is going to come up, because the exciting thing about this one, you hear about undervaluing, was that we paid 380, and I started to get a little bit nervous afterwards, because we're in Newport, which is sort of up and coming, but it hasn't definitely come and gone. Excuse me. It's people are downvaluing a lot because the bridge toll has come off between Bristol and Newport. Excitement and ambition of sellers has gone up, but I don't know if the reality is sort of dragged behind a little bit. And so we thought, oh my gosh, we could get down vals here. And the actual valuation was, they give you 30, 60 and 90 days. The 90-day was 500,000. The 60-day was 450, and the 30-day was 400. So they were all more than what we paid. So we were quite delighted with that.
Well,
yeah, but I think when it's done up, we'll get a good valuation on it.
Yeah, based on 60+ grand's worth of income, you'll make some good wins there. And at £3,000 a unit as well to refurb. I assume you didn't mean £3,000 for the whole thing. £3,000 a unit.
And they've got long-term tenants in there, Rupert, as well. So we're doing up the ones that are empty, and then obviously the other ones, we haven't put them up to market. So they were 260. I think we've made some of them 300 and some of them a little bit more than that. But I think it reflects, the condition and the people who are there. But they're great people, because from a business point of view, if you looked at this and somebody brought this to you and say, right, you'd exit all of those, do them all up, bring them all up to, but it is a human business as well.
Yeah.
And the people there are lovely people, and we will be speaking to them and see what they want to do, whether they want to be refurbished and have their rent go up a little bit, or whether they, we will have to have some conversations. but we're happy with the way, because you have to be happy that things morally sit well with you as well.
Absolutely. You're talking about working with the tenants, and a lot of landlords tend to forget that. So that's a good lesson. Stephanie, we've all made them. Tell us about one significant mistake you've made in your HMO business that you think, by sharing with the audience, might help someone avoid.
I think I was going to say, well, just not starting sooner, but everyone says that. But I feel so excited by this. I'm sort of an HMO evangelist almost. But really, it's just, why didn't we start sooner? It's because we don't realise that we have the power, or many people don't realise, some people do, that we have the power to create wealth in our own lives, that create the wealth that can do the things that we want to do in life. But we don't start because we tell ourselves all sorts of lies and excuses about why we can't do the things that we see other people doing. So I think that's one. And the other one is to talk to people who've already done it. That's one thing I learned from my first business. There's every problem that I had in that business, somebody had already been through, experience, come to the other side of, and I'm really conscious of that now. So I feel that it seems a stupid thing not to have known before, but I'm really confident that any problem that we encounter, there is a solution out there, and we can find it out, and we can succeed at solving the problem. And that's not a way that I felt before. Good
bit of advice, that, because a lot of people do get held back by small problems, and you just got to look around you in the communities, in the forums, in your local network. The chances are someone will have solved that problem already. Stephanie, tell us about your HMO portfolio plans for the next 12 months.
Well, I think more of the same. The process of buying that final property that I mentioned that completed in March, it actually started in last September, and it was quite painful in the fact of the lender was actually a good lender. Working with them was good, working with the broker was good, but it's just so much was required, and they were changing goalposts throughout, and so we're recovering from that, but we are going to go back in, and I think it's just going to be more of the same. I'm really interested in commercial to resi, larger blocks, self-contained units, and bigger HMOs. We've actually had a deal brought to us at the moment. That's a hotel.
And how big is it?
Not massive. It's 12 to 15, depending on the use of the rooms, and a bar and restaurant. But I'm not sure whether that will work, but we're in the process of analysing the deal. But I think there's a lot of opportunity because there's so much risk in hotels and B&Bs. So a lot of people don't want to go in there. There's planning risk, there's risk even if you keep them to current usage. So these are areas of opportunity that I want to explore in the future.
Good, love it. Now, apart from building the portfolio, is there anything else that you're up to in property or outside that you'd like to share with HMO Nation?
Yeah, I would. So we have our company HMO Heaven. That's an HMO management business, guaranteed rent. And then we also have a company called Rent to Rent Success. And this is all about coaching people who want to get started in HMO investment, who for whatever reason are not ready to buy yet, who are wanting to create that consistent monthly cash flow, escape from the 9 to 5, and eventually buy. Or they've already spent all their money on HMOs, they don't want to buy anymore, but they're managing HMOs and they want to manage other people's HMOs, but on a different basis than the normal 10% sort of agent basis. It's a basis where, as I like to put it, it's for landlords, it's guaranteed rent, freedom from tenant management, total peace of mind. So within Rent to Rent Success, we show people how they can do that with little money or experience to start and really create that profitable business, that will help them escape from their 9 to 5 if that's what they want to do.
Brilliant. Okay. Stephanie, I'll make sure we link up to that in the show notes on the website. What advice would you give current HMO investors given the state of the market?
Current investors, look at what you can improve on to make your current assets work better. Is it a slight refurb? Is it can you add in built-in furniture? What can you do to make your current assets work better and in the longer term become more profitable? Sometimes it's the systems. We've made some changes to our systems that I love. One of them that still excites me is quite old. It's quite an old change now, but
Tell us.
we've always had a process where we check in and check out the tenants. They're long-term tenants, not short-term tenants. But so we would used to do that on a piece of paper onto a clipboard, and then you to check, everything that's gone on. And we about a year ago changed it on, so it's on the iPad or the phone or whatever, and that everything's there. So even if I do it, because we have a property assistant who does this, but he does sometimes go on holiday. So that makes me think I need another member of staff so that I never have to go in. But anyway, at the moment, so when he goes on holiday, I usually do this. So I don't know what to do because it's so long since I've done it. I don't know what we're supposed to say or but now that we have this checklist that's electronic, both I and the tenant sign it, and very much what's on there is what we have noticed through managing the properties over time. So if any new things come up, we put them onto this list. So it's simple things like we want to give people their deposit back, and one of the things that people were failing on was the mattress. And it's kind of obvious that accidents are going to happen. A lot of these mattresses are white. Why are they white? I don't know. Anyway, so a lot of these mattresses are white. So it only takes 1 cup of coffee or fake tan or whatever it happens to be. So just from one little thing of adding to that, keep your mattress protector on, buy another mattress protector, put it on top, keep the mattress protectors on. That way, you're most likely to get your deposit back.
Got it.
And a few other little things about damp, and people don't know, for example, don't close the washing machine door and things like that when it's not in use. Seriously, when it's in use, yes. But when it's not in use, leave it open. But little things like that. Some people are moving out of home from the first time, and we want to welcome them, but also give them the feeling and impression, which is true, that we actually do care about them and the property, and we're showing them how to get the best out of it. And that's all on a system that even I can't fail to do properly.
Systems, good. Plenty of landlords, current or new, that perhaps don't have all the systems that they should. What about, Stephanie, any advice you'd give people who are looking to get into HMO property investing for the very first time? What advice would you give?
Champagne. The water's lovely. No, you do need to do a little bit of due diligence and use things like the HMO Hub and other resources to make sure that you're going in the right place. But once you've done your DD, get in there, because you buy property and wait, don't wait to buy property.
You got it. Stephanie, before we sign off, we'd like you to recommend one great HMO resource or business book that you'd like to share. Then we'll let HMO Nation know how they can get in touch with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. Well, what I've learned over the last few years is that your mind is so important. Everything that I'm doing now, I could have already been doing. I could have been doing it instead of 3 years. It could have been 13 years, 23 years, 33 years. Think of where I would be if that had been the case. So my recommendation is really just to start believing, harness the power of your mind to bring into being the things that you want to see in the world. And so I'm just going to recommend one book, which is called The Slight Edge, which is all about, no matter what your mindset is like right now. I found it at a time when my mindset wasn't so great, but it all seems so doable. It was that little switch that I thought, oh my gosh, these little things that we do every day have a transformational effect over time. And even when you are starting from a low ebb, it seems really possible to do the little things. It doesn't seem possible to do the big things. So The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson is my book.
Perfect. We'll make sure we link that up. And how about if HMO Nation want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, I would love to connect with you, HMO Nation. So there's two ways. If you're into buying HMOs and you want to talk HMOs, refurbing, we have the HMO Heroes Facebook group. So we would love to see you there. And if you're into doing HMO management on a guaranteed rent basis, that's the rent to rent side of things, then we have a Facebook group called Rent to Rent Success Secrets, and we would love to see you there. We also have two YouTube channels. One is called HMO Heaven, which is our business name, HMO Heaven, and the other one is called Rent to Rent Success. And of course, just you can message me on Facebook. I think it's the best way if you want to get in touch with me personally.
Perfect. Stephanie, thank you for sharing your HMO journey. Let's get an HMO high five and we'll catch you again soon.
Hey!
Thanks for joining us. If you've enjoyed this and want more informational, educational and inspirational HMO property content, then please hit the subscribe button and give us a like. See you next time.